Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, I've been doing all right, I guess. Talking about regular life, overall good. Obviously, talking basketball, a little bit more disappointed because unfortunately, our Los Angeles Lakers are out of the
It
playoffs
was supposed to be
after
Lakers at 5. What happened?
oh my gosh, it was supposed to be a Lakers in five, ended up being Wolves in five. Damn. And what can I say, man? Like honestly, no one to blame but the Lakers themselves. They just couldn't finish in the fourth quarter. Disappointing, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, without a center, there really wasn't too much we could have expected because, like, shit, you need to have a decent center to go places. And hopefully they address in the offseason. That being said, honestly, I can't even hate on. I'm not even gonna hate on the Wolves because they deserved that win, honestly. And the Wolves are a pretty likable team, unlike some other teams that be like running their mouths crazy. So that being said, regardless who wins the series between the Warriors and the Rockets, I'll be rooting for Minnesota in that series. And so I think, I mean, no guarantee. Realistically speaking, I see a OKC versus Minnesota conference finals matchup, and if so, should be a good one. So
That would be exciting. Hoops already coming through with the basketball talk, which makes sense since this is a basketball podcast, after all. But
true that.
I'll say this: I've been enjoying the playoffs in general. Like this has been a great playoffs, honestly. Although it sucked that our Lakers got bounced in 5 in the first round. The games have been great. I've been enjoying the games. I even like this week I went to a concert. I told you this already, but I went to a concert and while waiting in line for the Jordy Griep concert. I don't know if anybody viewing knows who that is, but he's like a rock artist, I guess. It's a very cool show. But yeah, I was waiting in line for the show, and I was watching. What was the first game? I think it was Knicks versus Pistons. And then when I got into the venue and was waiting for the actual performance, I was watching Clippers versus Nuggets. And it's been fun watching these games. And speaking of concerts, tomorrow we're going to a concert. To our alumni university, which should be fun. But there is like breaking news, um, like a big shakeup, I guess, because we originally we were gonna see Leon Thomas and Saweetie perform tomorrow, but one of them is not going to be there anymore. How do you feel?
Disappointed, honestly, because honestly, I like both artists. I was really looking forward to seeing both of them. But man, one of them cannot go.
Yeah, and it's
It,
Saweetie. Saweetie's not gonna be able to attend.
damn it. Okay. I'm glad Leon's going. I'm not reacting like that. But what I mean to say is like it's disappointing that Sweetie isn't able to go. So this is actually news to me, by the way. So I guess so. Like all of my thoughts are genuine at the moment. There's no paid acting, by the way. Um, so did they find a replacement for her, or is it
Yes,
literally just gonna be
yes.
Leon?
So that's what I'm excited. Well, I'm kind of excited to tell you. I don't
Okay.
know your thoughts on this artist, but he is a pretty big name artist, or pretty well known. Pretty well known. I guess he's not big name, but he has songs with like Travis Scott, The Weeknd, um, I believe Young Thug. You know, he's in the trap realm. You want to give like two quick guesses?
Um, Travis Scott, Young Thug, and who?
I believe he has a song with
He
Young
made songs.
Thug, The Weeknd.
Hmm.
He has who, who else? He dropped an album this year. I haven't listened to it. I think he has
Um,
a song with Kodak Black. I might be wrong about that.
I'm kind of blanking.
He's also
Is this guy pretty well known?
he's I think so. I feel like you should know him. I'd be kind of shocked if he didn't. He's also a
Hmm.
producer.
Oh, wait.
So he's a rapper
Is it
producer.
Metro?
No,
Is it
not.
Metro
I
Boomin? Nope.
wish it was
I
Metro.
wish,
That would have been
man. Imagine
so
if it's
good.
Metro Boomin. Oh man, I wish. Um, okay, I'll try to take one more guess.
I think he
I
has
don't
an
know if I'll
album
get
with
it.
Metro. Maybe I'm wrong there,
Oh,
but
wait.
they've definitely worked together
Oh,
before.
okay. Um, 21 Savage. I doubt it.
No, no. You want to know who it is?
Yeah, who is it?
Nav.
Nav?
Yeah.
I mean, he's all right, I guess. I don't really have too much. I haven't really heard a lot of his music, I don't think. I do remember he did have that one. I do remember his song was The Weekend Champion. Remember that song?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like Nav at all. So when I heard about this news,
Yeah.
I was devastated. I would much rather see Saweetie perform than Nav.
I would rather. Yeah. I would rather have Sweetie, to be honest. Okay, not gonna lie, now I'm actually disappointed. Like, come on, man.
There's a
Like, I'm glad we still get to see Leon, but like, man, that is a downgrade from Sweetie to Nav. Come on, man.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. There's
did they
a
say?
go on.
Go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, did they say any reason why she couldn't make it, or
No,
no?
no. But they
Okay,
did say
understand.
you could get a refund, but before the show starts is when it ends.
Oh,
So we can't attend the concert and then get a refund like last year. Last year
oh,
we went to see Quavo and he didn't
yeah,
appear. I think we talked about this in
yeah,
the podcast last year. But
yeah.
that was
So I gotta
disappointing.
ask.
So 2 years in a row.
So I gotta ask. Yeah, I know. So I gotta ask you to confirm then. Do you want to get your refund,
I
or do you
mean,
actually still want to go?
I'll go. Like spend just get out of the house. There's
Yeah.
usually rides, we'll eat
I
food. We'll still be able to see Leon Thomas too, so
yeah.
that's good.
I will say this though, like I feel like they should at least like lower the price in this situation and make it give us a partial refund and make it cheaper. Cause like this is not what we originally signed up for. Come on now.
Yeah, can we get a
Like
fifty
half price
percent?
maybe?
Yeah, half price and just see Leon, and then we
Yeah.
leave.
Man, I would totally do that because I literally do not care about Nav either, honestly. Like that's definitely a disappointment to hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure your thoughts on Nav. I actually assumed you kind of like heard of his music, maybe even liked it. I didn't expect you to be as disappointed as I am.
I mean, like, yeah. I think that Sweetie, like, is way better than Nav,
Saweetie would have been a
honestly.
lot more fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree for sure, man. And like, also, I feel like Leon and Sweetie would blend so much better together than Leon and Nav. Like, that's so weird.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
we got a lot of basketball to
I
talk
guess.
about. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind, we
Anyways,
could jump
um,
into that.
yeah, I think that would be a good segue to go into the real topic,
Yeah, and we
the
got a
NBA playoffs.
lot to cover. We're gonna once again go do a rundown on the first round series, or for both Western and Eastern Conference. Talk about, oh, I said series and it's my Siri popped up. That's funny. Okay. Um, so we're going to talk about every matchup, talk about the matchups that have finished, some of them that will finish probably this weekend, I believe. Yeah, this weekend. So by the time this episode's out, the first round series should be over, like all of them, which will be exciting. We'll go over the Eastern Conference, I guess, semifinal matchups. We'll predict our winners for those. And then we got a few news to go over. And we're just going to go for it. We're going to try to be as efficient as last week. I looked back, like comparing our first round recap from last week and our first round recap from a year ago, and we were faster this year. So hopefully this episode will be shorter than last year's episode as well.
Hope
And
so.
there's only one way we can do that, and that's by actually jumping in. So we're gonna stay in the West Coast, the best coast, talking about probably the most boring series because this was an embarrassment. Thunder versus Grizzlies, which this series ended before our podcast episode was up last week. Like, this was an embarrassing sweep. We talked about last week about how the Thunder blew out the Grizzlies by 50 in game 1, 20, or was it 20 or 30 in game 2?
I think it was just 21 or something.
21 is still like embarrassing. Um,
Yeah.
I believe in game 3, Grizzlies had like a 30-point lead. I think that's where I got the mix up. Ja got injured, which sucks for them, but they should have still kept the lead. Nevertheless, the Thunder were able to pull off an amazing comeback due to some great defense from Caruso and Chet. So they ended up taking that one, and then game 4 that happened last week was competitive. You know, there was some guys playing, but at the end of the day, it was not enough. The Thunder were able to pull off their sweep against the Grizzlies. What were your thoughts on this? I know it was just it's no biggie because you know the Thunder were just so dominant within this entire series that it feels like just another win. But you know, there's a lot of bright sides to look at when you look at the Thunder's perspective. Like Shea having his best game in game 4, it was a good sign because he started off a little rusty in game 1. You know, he didn't have the best game, but in game 4 he ended up having, I believe, his postseason career high with 38 points. What are your thoughts on the final game, Thunder versus Grizzlies? I guess on either side, to Thunder or Grizzlies. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, honestly, didn't think too much about it. Obviously, especially when Ja went down, you kind of just assumed OKC was going to win. I will say this, if there was any shock, it was how close the game actually was. Because I expected it to be an easy OKC win, but instead, it went down to the wire pretty much. And Memphis, they showed grit in this game to like go down with a fight at least. Like that OKC team probably should have blown them out, but it was actually close. So despite getting swept, it's never good.
It was
At least they kept it
surprisingly
competitive.
close too. Like, Jaren Jackson Jr. had another like pretty mid game. Had 12 points in game 4. His averages throughout the board this postseason went down. Like in the regular season, he had 22 points. He averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, 6.2 assists. I think I might have mixed those two up. But in the postseason, he averaged 16 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 37.9 from the field. He just got a lot worse in the postseason. Desmond Bain had some inconsistency as well. But in game 4, Scottie Pippen Jr. looked great. I'm sure he made his dad proud. So I was happy to see him ball out. But yeah, Triple J just kept, I felt validated watching him play like shit because I've been saying he's such an overrated player. And seeing him just, he just was supposed to be that guy since John Morant wasn't there. He was too busy trying to avoid the cameras in the bench in his street clothes. But yeah, Triple J was supposed to be the guy, and he ended up with 12 points in a very important game. I guess not very important because I'm sure they already knew they were gonna lose, but still, like it's still a very sad way to go.
Definitely. And the fact that like the Grizzlies were very close to potentially pulling out the upset in game 4 was crazy, especially knowing the fact that there were a lot of key players in the Grizzlies that were having foul trouble. Like Zach Edey and Scottie Pippen Jr., both of them fouled out. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain each had 5 fouls each. So if maybe Edey or Pippen did not foul out, potentially maybe a different shakeout at the end. We would never know. Nonetheless, we all knew. Like, many people predicted a sweep. Some people predicted 5. We all knew it wasn't going to go any more than 5 max. So this was definitely probably one of the least shocking results of round 1, I would say.
For sure. So the Thunder will be facing either the Nuggets or the Clippers, and I'm sure they'll prefer the Nuggets just because there's less people to worry about offensively. Like Jokic will be a problem, but they do have Hartenstein, they do have Chet to deal with him, and John Jamal Murray could be an issue, but they have so many incredible guards that could defend, whether it's Dort, whether it's Caruso. Shea could be on him at times as well. He's a great defender. While on the Clippers, like a lot of those guys can contribute any day. So I'm sure that's a lot more to handle for the Thunder if they had to face the Clippers. I think they would rather face the Nuggets. Would you agree? Or
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you would assume that they would beat either of them probably, but I guess I agree. Like, neither. I mean, I don't necessarily think Denver would be easy, but I do think that Clippers would be a taller task because there's more guys that they need to focus on, as you mentioned. Um, and another thing is like which team is better is also hard to say because like shockingly Denver has kind of looked like the better team in that series, but then it's like it's tied right now, so it's hard to say honestly. Like one game the Clippers look better, one game the Nuggets look better.
oh yeah,
I think, and that's why that's clearly the best first round series of the playoffs so far. Um, I would say I probably do agree with you that the Nuggets would be a more favorable matchup for OKC. I do expect them to beat either though.
all right, we'll see. We'll see. I guess we'll find out this weekend. The next
Yep, Saturday.
Saturday. Oh, so we'll find out tomorrow. That'll be interesting.
Yep.
I already forgot, even though we just talked about this. Okay, next matchup, we'll talk about the Rockets versus Warriors. So this has been very interesting. The Warriors did have a 3-1 lead against the Rockets in Game 3. They were able to win with no Jimmy Butler. That was when he got injured. And they had huge contributions from Gary Payton in the fourth quarter. He had 11 of his 16 points in the fourth. Curry did great in the fourth as well. It was a close game for the most part. But in the fourth is where the Warriors took charge. As I said, Gary Payton did well. Curry had 9 of his 36 in the fourth. And yeah, this game to me was a good reminder that the Rockets really need a closer because Jalen Green was ass with 9 points. I think this is right after his like 38-point performance, and I don't think he's had a good game since then. I could be wrong. I need to double check the stats, but I don't think he's had a.
I think you're right. Jalen Green has been having a rough playoff performance to say the least. And I mean, obviously we'll talk about the rest of the games of the series later, but I did see this one comment that like in the second quarter saying like if not for Jalen Green, the Rockets would have been up by 20, but instead they were only up by like 6 or something.
Yeah.
Might be true. Jalen Green has definitely been disappointing.
Yeah, he's been disappointing all series, and in Game 3 specifically, I felt like the Rockets in general were disappointing offensively. None of the Rockets were able to score more than 20. So that's a big reason why they ended up losing Game 3. Game 4 was a crazy game. It was very physical. It was the game where we had this crazy Draymond stat line of 5 fouls, 1 technical, 1 flagrant. I was very surprised he did not get ejected, but um, yeah, he ended up staying and honestly played some clutch defense against Alper Şengün. It was a close game till the end. Şengün had was on the post with Draymond defending him, and he couldn't hit the bucket, so they ended up winning this one. That's how they got their 3-1 lead. I believe Şengün just really struggled with Draymond guarding him. He had, what was it? 31 points, 10 rebounds, I believe, something like that. But most of the points he was
Okay.
able to acquire was when like other people were guarding him. So um, every time Draymond was guarding him, he struggled. And I feel like believe starting this game, Fred Van Vliet has been like killing it. In this game, he had 25 points, and from here on out, he's been amazing for the Rockets. Unfortunately, they lost this one, but he started contributing very well. Um, but yeah, this is where they got the 3-1 lead, and with the season on the line, Game 5, the Rockets blew out the Warriors. It's such an embarrassing way that like Steve Kerr benched the starters in like the middle of the third. They came back eventually, but still, it was just such a big blowout that he didn't want to uh, waste the starters' energy and just bench them. And then Game 6 happened. I know it was a close game, but not gonna lie, I started getting tired midway in the fourth because the Rockets were just destroying the Warriors in the fourth quarter. So I ended up getting sleepy watching the Rockets just obliterate the Warriors in the fourth. But now, after being in a 3-1 deficit, this matchup is finally going to a game 7. It's Rockets home court, so that is added bonus for them. I predicted that the Warriors were going to win, but I am rooting for the Rockets here. I would rather see them move on to the next round. So, um, what are your thoughts on this series, and do you think the Rockets could pull off this 3-1 upset?
Man, I will say this series went from potential boring blowout snooze fest to very good competition. Um, so you pretty much just summed it up very well. I'll just do like a brief overview on my take. Obviously, games 3 was like a little bit of a shifty game. Rockets were able to dominate for a lot of the first half, leading by as much as 13. But then the Warriors took over in the fourth, and as the game went down to the wire, Warriors just pulled away late, going up 104-93 and winning game 2. I mean, winning game 3 to take the 2-1 lead. And then game 4, Warriors got out to a fast start, going up 12 early. But then the Rockets make a run, and they end up going 7.5. But then Warriors come out firing in the second half and take a 10-point lead early in the third. Tight game going down to the wire. But then after the Rockets went up 4 with 4:20 left, thanks to Fred VanVleet 3. And then another 3 to tie by Fred VanVleet. Under a minute was the major turning point when Dillon Brooks fouled Jimmy on a 3, gave him 3 free throws, makes all of it. Jimmy had a perfect night from free throw line, and that was huge. Şengün attempted to shoot a hook shot, but that looked like it would go in, but Draymond clamped up and That was where the Rockets had the foul. Jimmy makes two more free throws, 3-point game. Van Vliet dribbles down the court. It looked like he had a chance, but it was complete air ball and did not go in. And then, as you mentioned, game five, do or die situation. Rockets lived up to it. After the Warriors took a brief 3-point lead early, Rockets took complete control rest of the game. Went up by as much as 18 in the first quarter and then 30 in the second. Biggest lead was 31 in the third. Warriors put a run in the fourth quarter, but ultimately getting as close to 13 as 5 minutes was the closest they would get. Rockets re-extend their lead and ultimately win by 15, which then set up Game 6, which was tonight on Friday night. And as mentioned, it was a close game early on. And as mentioned earlier, it probably was so close thanks to Jalen Green's poor play. Because it probably could have been a Rockets blowout from the jump if not for that guy. So Rockets led by like 10 or 11 in the second quarter. The Warriors ended up tying it late, and at the half, I think Rockets were only up by 6. And the fourth quarter was pretty competitive too. Rockets led the entire time, but never by double digits. Then came the fourth quarter, where the Rockets really got to blow the game open. And I don't remember what their overall field goal percentage was, but I do know that in the fourth quarter, the Warriors started 3 for 19 from the field, which is really bad. And the Rockets took advantage. Now, overall, at the end, the Rockets outscored the Warriors 29-23, which does not look like a lot. But that's, I think, because of garbage time points. Because really, they were up by like 16 with like 3 minutes left. So the game was really not as close as the scoreboard indicated. Nonetheless, Rockets win game 6 on the road and now set themselves up for prime position to win the series game 7 back in Houston. And in this game, key contributors for the Rockets were hold on a second. Fred Van Vliet, great performance, 29 points. Şengün, 21 points. Steven Adams put up a nice performance, 17. Amon put up 14. Jalen Green, though not good, 12 points. And then for the Warriors, it was definitely like Jimmy still did his. Steph and Jimmy still did their job. Steph put up 29, Jimmy put up 27, and then Paz put up 10, Moody put up 13. Aside from that, though, not a lot of contribution from the Warriors. And that was one of the main reasons why they lost this game. And so, game 7 now in Houston, Rockets are in prime position to win. And if I were to make a prediction, I say Rockets win it. And the Warriors will then blow a 3-1 lead, like 2016 again. And it is going to be hilarious. Definitely to see for sure. And I'm all for it. Like, even though the Lakers did lose in the round 1 and it was disappointing, if the Warriors blow a 3-1 lead, it would definitely make me feel a little bit better for sure. So yeah, definitely hope for the best. Not necessarily a Rockets fan either, but I would much rather them than the Warriors.
I
I
forgot
will say
about that.
this though. I think that either team, yeah, I will say this. I do think that whoever wins the series is gonna lose against the Wolves the next round. So book that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to tell who will win. I think just the experience is on the Warriors side. But the Rockets do have home court. They also, have been utilizing Steven Adams like in a great way. He turned out to be a huge X factor for the Rockets. The Warriors are struggling when he's on the court due to his shot blocking abilities, due to his rebounding abilities. He is one of the best offensive rebounders in the league, and the Warriors are a small team. They play a lot of small ball, so they really struggled with him. That's why they've been doing a lot of Steven Adams, because that's one of his not his best aspect of the game is free throws. So they try to do that to get him off the court because he is such an important player for the Rockets. And yeah, they've been really, really successful using the double big lineup with Alperen Sengun and Steven Adams. They're both like rebounding machines, and then Sengun is there to help out offensively, and Steven Adams is there for the defensive side. And at the moment, it seems like they can't stop it. The Warriors can't stop it. That's why they lost it last two games. It's because of how great Steven Adams is. So I know Curry is a great coach. He might find a way to combat that. Maybe try to get Steven Adams in foul trouble early, or get him off the court by doing a hack of Steve or whatever. But I guess we'll see. Part of me wants to see the Warriors win just for me to not have another bad prediction, but my heart is telling me Rockets is gonna win it. I just would love to see it. Like, just the disappointment in Draymond's face would be so worth it.
I agree, definitely. I would love to see the Warriors also out in round one. That would be nice. No more of their annoying fans until next season.
Oh yeah, they've been very annoying this week because the Lakers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. If it's okay with you, I think we should segue to that matchup. Unless you have any more notes on the Rockets Warriors.
No, I think I'm through with that series, honestly. Should be a good one, game 7, I think. But my prediction will be Rockets winning at home.
Rockets winning? Okay.
But
I guess we'll see, but
and my original prediction was Rockets in 7, so I have a chance to be correct.
I forgot what I said. Did I say Warriors in 6? I think that's what I said.
I know you picked the Warriors. I think you did say 6.
Okay, so
yeah.
I don't want them to win, but I don't want another bad prediction. Yeah. Okay, we'll see.
I mean, technically, Warriors did not win in 6, so it would already be an incorrect prediction. It would just be.
But it's even worse if I get the team wrong too.
I mean, it's all good. We'll take one for our fandom, I guess.
Yeah,
But man, unfortunately, this next series, neither of us got correct. Damn it. And it was the Lakers and the Wolves.
I embarrassingly got this incorrect. I made this whole big spiel about Lakers in 5, and mostly because of the bit, mostly because I'm a biased Lakers fan. But I came through with my reasonings. I had a lot of reasons why I thought this was gonna be Lakers in 5, and it was not. Now I have a list of reasons why this was a horrible series from the Lakers. And as you said earlier, I have so much respect for the Timberwolves right now. I think they played an amazing series. They did what they were able to do. Julius Randle proved me wrong. He had the best playoff performance in his career this series. And had a dud, I think, in game 4. He missed 11 threes. Didn't make a single 3 in game 4. Struggled there, but he also had great games as well. Did he have a 40 bomb this series, or was he close, like 38 in what was it, game 4?
I'm trying to remember if he did have. I think it was close, but I don't know if he actually had 40.
Well, anyways, he had a great series as well. Not only scoring the basketball, but being a great playmaker, getting plays like Jaden McDaniels going. He had a great series. Nas Reed at one point in the series, he looked like the clutchest player on earth. He wouldn't stop making threes during clutch time. Even Rudy Gobert had an amazing game. Unfortunately, in Game 5, he destroyed the Lakers. 27 points, 24 rebounds. That stat line is going to haunt me. It's going to haunt me because those are playoff career highs for Rudy Gobert. And this is like one of his weaker seasons. And he was looking horrible at first, too. The what is it? What's his name? Chris Finch. He benched Rudy for Nas Reed because Nas Reed was killing it offensively and Rudy couldn't really do much. And then I guess he remembered that he's like 7'2" and just remembered that the Lakers don't have a center, so he just got to work in Game 5. But yeah, the Timberwolves were amazing. They played great, and the Lakers. I'm just pissed. Like I made a TikTok this week on the series, and there's a lot of things that I mentioned that are reasons why the Lakers lost the series, and it was like from the role players all the way to the front office. I started off by talking about how the role players in this series for the Lakers didn't really come through. Yeah, Rui had a good game or two, but like our bench was non-existent. We had like no bench contributions. We had the best third option in the league playing horribly offensively and defensively. Luka was amazing offensively, but was getting blown by like crazy. LeBron would play great for 3 quarters, and in the fourth, when we need him the most, he's passing the ball to Jaden McDaniels, or he's clunking ugly 3-pointers, or not even scoring in the fourth quarter. We got JJ Redick looking worse than Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham had a better first playoff series than JJ Redick. Why would you do this? Like, what is it called? AAU? Is that the basketball league? The kids basketball league?
Oh,
Why would you do this
AAU.
AAU strat of just keeping your best players for an entire half on the court? They were great in the third quarter, but as you would guess, with a 40-year-old on the team, with a guy that's not really known for being the most fit, Luka Doncic, on the team, that they got tired in the fourth quarter and ended up blowing the fourth quarter because they didn't sit not once in the second half. Not only that, when Rudy Gobert was cooking the Lakers in Game 5, instead of throwing the tallest guy on our team, Jackson Hayes, on him, he decides to just bench him the entire game. I know Jackson Hayes was ass this series. He was. But when the tallest guy on the court is finally playing well offensively, nobody on the court can stop him. Throw some size at him. Just give it a try. All you have to do is try, and if it's not working for 5 minutes, bench him again. But you gotta try. You're a coach. You're supposed to adjust to these different situations. I know it's weird seeing Rudy Gobert play great offensively. Nobody's used to it, but a good coach would have thrown some size at him. So I was very disappointed in JJ Redick as well. And then the biggest reason why the Lakers ended up losing, is what you said earlier, is because there's no center. Which clearly we needed, right? As soon as we got Luka Doncic on the team, everybody was saying that now more than ever we needed a center. Anthony Davis was saying we needed a center, and then they traded his ass. Imagine how great this team would have been if we had Anthony Davis instead of LeBron. Like, I know LeBron has a no trade clause, so we can't just trade him, and it would also look weird seeing LeBron get traded. But Luka and Anthony Davis on a team together, the amount of chips that duo can get is generational. That would have been great. He would have helped a lot in this series. Like I know he doesn't like playing as a center, but he would have cooked. He would have cooked in this series. He was
I
cooking for the
agree.
Mavs in the play-in. Like he is amazing. And now we have no center, and we lost to the Timberwolves in a very embarrassing fashion. So sorry for ranting right there. I was very passionate about that. I'll let you go because I'm sure you have some passionate thoughts as well.
Yeah. Very disappointing turnout, obviously. And main reason being the fourth quarter collapse in much of these games, especially games 3, 4, and 5. Because, like, quite honestly, all of those games are really winnable. It literally could have been Lakers in 5 if they knew how to finish these games. But 3 of those games, they just couldn't finish at the end. And me personally, I think that game 4 was the most frustrating because it looked like we were going to win that game until they collapsed at the end. And much of it was because, like, they seemed to have control most of the game, went up by as much as 12 on multiple occasions. Then the Wolves just wouldn't go away. Um, the Wolves ended up taking a 4-point lead with 2:11 remaining, but then the Lakers were able to regain a 2-point lead thanks to 2 huge threes from Austin and Dorian Finney-Smith. But unfortunately, this is where disaster struck for the Lakers. After a Nas Reed missed layup blocked by LeBron, horrible offensive possession where LeBron just chucks up a deep 3 while only up 2. That was a bad shot. Like, should have at least like attacked the paint or something, but instead chucks up a 3, breaks it. Wolves get the ball, and then on the following play, Jaden McDaniels gets a dunk and gets fouled, which gave the Wolves a 1-point lead. And then the following possession, LeBron turns the ball over. Who is it stolen by? Once again, Jaden McDaniels. And then the Lakers tried to play defense without fouling. The ball goes out of bounds. So then came the instant replay. Originally, they said that the ball went. Originally, the replay was to check whether the ball went off Braun or Ant. Instead, the replay ended up hurting the Lakers because they called a foul on LeBron. Ant goes to the line, makes both of them. Wolves are now at 3. Final chance for the Lakers. Austin has a good look, but unfortunately, it did not fall. Wolves go up 3-1. And that's what set up game 5. Lakers just looked flat throughout. Like, it almost seemed like they didn't know that this was an elimination game. Timberwolves just went up 14 right out the gates in the first quarter. In the second, Lakers were able to cut it to 2 early on, but then the Wolves would re-extend their lead to 10 at the half. And then third quarter was pretty competitive. It was close. I think the Wolves were only up by like 1 or 2 at the end of the third. But then ugly fourth quarter by both teams, which neither team shot particularly well. Timberwolves ended up outscoring the Lakers 22-16. The craziest part about this game was the fact that Ant, who was the best three-point shooter in the league this season, somehow went 0 for 11 from 3. And yet the Lakers still somehow found a way to lose this game. And as you mentioned, the reason was because of Rudy Gobert's career high playoff performance, 27 points, 24 rebounds, which was obviously very frustrating to see. Randall 23 points and 15 points despite the poor shooting, and Gilgeous-Alexander Walker 10 points. For the Lakers, Luka put up 28, Rudy put up 23, Braun put up 22, and Austin put up 12. So this was a really tough end to the season for the Lakers. We really do need to get a center in the offseason. I don't know, maybe try to make a trade, get like a Nick Claxton or something. That would be nice. But at the end of the day, though, I really can't hate on the Timberwolves. They earned the series win. The Lakers were the ones that cost themselves. And yeah, as mentioned earlier, regardless who wins between Houston and Golden State, I will be rooting for the Timberwolves in that series. So honestly, nothing but respect to the Ant and the Wolves. I tip my hat off to them. hopefully Lakers get better in the offseason.
I hope so. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, shout out to the Timberwolves here. And let's talk about the last matchup in the West, which is Nuggets versus Clippers, the most exciting matchup in the West, I believe. And yeah, let's talk about Game 4, where I'm not even gonna talk about like the entire game because it's all about the shot heard around the world. Not even a shot, the dunk heard all around the world. With seconds left in the game, Jokic was, I believe, doubled. Try to hit this tough, deep three for the win. Airballed it completely, but luckily for the Nuggets, Aaron Gordon was able to catch the ball and dunk it in mere milliseconds before the buzzer. It was one of the craziest game winners ever. I wish I saw it live. I unfortunately didn't catch this one. I know you saw it live, and I'm sure you were excited to see uh, the Clippers lose this one. Um, Especially since this was a close game at first. The Nuggets were able to build a lead, but then the Clippers were like coming back. They had great performances from Kawhi, who had 10 points in the fourth quarter, 10 of his 24 in the fourth. So it was looking like they were gonna take this game, and then Eric Gordon saved the day. Wasn't it amazing? Like, it was truly one of the greatest shots in NBA playoff history, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely agree there. Because to start, the lead up was crazy. Well, the Nuggets pretty much took control and never trailed the entire first half. However, despite all that, they were only up by 2 at half. Nuggets dominated the third quarter, went up by as much as 22 early in the fourth, but then the Clippers went on that crazy 32-9 run, which they turned a 22-point deficit into a 1 point lead. With only 1:11 left in the game, and it was looking like this was going to be a massive generational choke. But then, as you mentioned, came Aaron Gordon to save the day. After Nikola Jokic put up a long game winning 3 point attempt that did not go on target at all, went all air, Aaron Gordon catches it and drops the ball through the net. And obviously, there was a lot of heavy controversy, and the angle was a little bit tough whether or not he got the shot off in time. But after review, it was determined that Gordon had gotten the dunk off pretty much just a millisecond before the buzzer. And it was a huge win for the Nuggets to pretty much keep the series alive and tie things up 2-2,
It
regaining
was
home court.
Sorry, it was honestly crazy to see the amount of people thinking that it was not good, like was not a legit game winner, that he wasn't able to dunk it on time. Like, not only like the casuals that don't know ball were saying that, but there was like legit like sports like accounts, like the Overtime Twitter account that were questioning whether it was an actual game winner, and they couldn't believe that it counted for the win. But like, it was like plain as day. If you take the still photo, you look at the still photo and see the, I guess, photo finish. So that shocked me. It shocked me seeing actual like sports accounts questioning the legitimacy of this game winner. I thought that was ridiculous, honestly. But sorry for cutting you off there. I just wanted to do a mini rant about that because that
Oh,
was insane.
it's all good. I mean, like, I think in the moment it's harder to tell because it looked like it was like almost a millisecond away or whatnot. But I think that like what probably would have to be done is like play it on like a 0.25 speed, and then you'll be able to tell what happened probably. I mean, I personally haven't tried it, but I'm sure that would have helped break it down. Um yeah, I mean, close call obviously, but it was definitely a good basket. And man, it was like such a dope way for a game to end because like I know a lot of people probably hope for overtime because like best series of playoffs. overtime, always good. But what's the second best thing from overtime? A game-winning shot. And that was what happened here. And it was such a cool grab off the miss in midair type throwdown too. Like, man, that was definitely fun to watch. Even better that it was the Clippers on the losing end for sure. So good stuff there, and that set up a 2-2 tie heading into Denver for Game 5. And so maybe we can segue and talk about Game 5 now. Um, Game 5 was the Jamal Murray takeover game. Nuggets came out firing and looked more like the team from the 2023 championship season. They were looking really good. Nuggets led by as much as 22, and they never trailed this game. And that was in large part thanks to their great balanced scoring contributions. Jamal Murray put up 43, 5, 7, 3 steals, and a block. Aaron Gordon put up 23 points. Russ put up 21 points. MPJ put up 14 points. Jokic put up 13 points. And Christian Brown put up 11 points. For the Clippers, Zubac led the way with 27, 5, and 1. Kawhi had 20 points. Bogdanovic had 18 points. Chris Dunn had 15. Norman Powell had 12. And James Harden was a vintage down performance in the playoffs. 11 points on 3 of 9 shooting. 0 for 2 from 3. Overall, 33% shooting from the field. So nonetheless, this was a red-hot performance by Jamal Murray and the Nuggets, and a massive disappointment by the Clippers. And the Nuggets went up 3-2 because of this performance.
Yeah, definitely a vintage game from Jamal Murray and a vintage game from James Harden. Did we literally like go back in time? Is that what happened? Because yeah, not only did Jamal Murray have his best game in the series so far, but James Harden had his worst game in the series so far. As he said, couldn't hit a three to save his life. And playmaking, which is an aspect of his game that has improved over the years, was not great as well because he had 5 assists but 4 turnovers, so not the greatest assist to turnover ratio there. It was like we went back in time in Game 5. So happy to see the Nuggets win there. Unfortunately, let me say this first. The Nuggets were down 2-1. Now they were up 3-2 at this point. But unfortunately, in Game 6, they ended up losing. And yeah, a big part of the reason why is the defense here. Because Zubac and Nicholas Batum. Who put Batum in? Nicholas Batum.
That was crazy.
They both played great defense. Like, I'm surprised that Batum, at this point of his career, is still such an effective role player. Like, they ended up benching Dunn because he wasn't helping offensively. They got Batum in, and he had a pretty decent stat line for his time on the court. 6 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. The rest of the stats here are cut off, so I can't see them right now. But he got a good amount of steals and blocks as well. And he was not only defending Jamal Murray pretty well, but he was also defending Jokic pretty well, which is crazy. He was defending their best center and their best point guard. That's such an impressive skill to have, especially as an older player like Batum. And then, again, shout out to Zubac, who's been amazing defending Jokic, especially in this game. I think that is a big reason why the Clippers ended up winning. On the offensive side, James Harden did come back. He had 28 points here. Norman Powell was hitting clutch, or I guess not clutch, but big threes in the fourth quarter. He ended up having 24 points. Kawhi Leonard had 27 points. So they were great, honestly. and a big reason why is the defense. So, any more thoughts on this? Are you any worried about the Nuggets going into Game 7, possibly losing to the Clippers? Or, like, did Game 6 change your mind on anything at all? Or are you still confident that the Nuggets could beat the Clippers?
I think it's definitely one of those situations where it could go either way. But knowing Game 7 is in Denver, I would definitely give Denver the advantage there for the home court. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Clippers found a way to win. I hope not, though. And I will say this. I think this is going to be closer to maybe like game one, game two in Denver, where it was close. Um, One thing I will say is about, like, for example, Norman Powell. He has been lights out in the Intuit Dome, not necessarily the greatest in Ball Arena. If that trend continues, the Clippers might be in trouble if they can't get other guys stepping up. But if he is able to step up big in the moment, and then James Harden does not have another vintage um, playoff flop performance, then the Clippers are in prime position. Um, and then, of course, obviously, if Kawhi goes on his like Toronto Raptors, San Antonio Spurs archetype playoff performance, then the Clippers are probably going to be tough to beat. That being said, I think that the Nuggets at home with their home crowd will be huge. And so ultimately, I think in a close one, I think I would pick Denver winning this game 7. And my original prediction was Nuggets in 7, so the prediction is still alive.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of like the Golden State Warriors Rockets situation for me because like I predicted the Clippers were going to win the series, but I want the Nuggets to win game 7. So, for me it's tough to say. I still do think the Clippers are a better team, but James Harden might have a vintage playoff performance and have a big dud, which I think might actually happen. So
Yeah.
Nuggets might win Game 7. So my original prediction might be wrong, but I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. We'll wait till tomorrow, right?
Yep, it will be tomorrow.
All right, so sounds good. Hopefully, this doesn't age poorly, but we'll see. Any more
I hope so.
thoughts, or should we move on to the
um,
East?
yeah, I think we are good to move on to the Eastern Conference now, starting with the snooze fest. 1 versus 8, Cleveland Cavaliers versus Miami Heat. So after two relatively close and competitive games in Cleveland, two games in Miami, not so much. Starting with game 3, Heat started off the game actually pretty good and had a 9-point lead halfway through the first. After that, they completely collapsed and the Cavs took full advantage, which they eventually led by as much as 40. It was not a game. For the Cavs, Jarrett Allen put up 22, 10 and 10 rebounds. DeAndre Hunter put up 21. Mobley put up 19. Max Strus put up 18. Donovan Mitchell and Ty Jerome put up 13 points each. For the Heat, Bam put up 22. Davion Mitchell put up 16. Tyler Hero put up 13. And Andrew Wiggins put up 10. So Heat had a brief good start and led by 9 early, but from there the Cavs just took control and this game was just not even close. And then quickly going over game 4 as well, we're at it. This was all but the same, but somehow even worse. Embarrassing performance by the Heat. After a super brief 1-point lead early, the Cavs took absolute control the rest of the way and led by as much as 60 at one point. So 40 in game 3, 60 in game 4. That's a big yikes for sure. Anyways, for the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell put up 22, DeAndre Hunter put up 19, Ty Jerome put up 18, Evan Mobley put up 17, Jarrett Allen put up 14, and then Javonte Green put up 11. For the Heat, Nikola Jovic put up 24. Bam put up 13. Wiggins 12. Pele and Larson 12 each. So after several big key thing of this game was after several big performances dating back to the play-in and the regular season, Tyler Hero had a miserable game. This miserable performance this game. He had only 4 points on 1 for 10 shooting overall and only 1 for 9 from three. So yeah, this was a disappointing end to the season for the Heat, even though we didn't necessarily expect much from them. We both predicted Cavs in 5, but the Heat could not take a single game. So winner was obviously correct. Number of games, we were off by 1. So Memo, your thoughts on the series?
I don't have much thoughts, just that, yeah, the Cavs were so dominant in these last two games. In these last two games, they won by combined 92 points, which is a crazy amount of points. And in game 3, I felt like the biggest reason why they ended up winning was because they played a lot bigger. They out-rebounded the Heat 46-29. They scored 60 points in the paint, while the Heat only had 30. They just played a lot bigger there. And took advantage of the amount of turnovers the Heat have. While in game 4, the Heat were just horrible offensively, like horrible shooting night. They overall as a team shot 36% from the field, 20.4 from 3, while the Cavs on the other end were on fire, 54.7 from the field, 46.8 from 3. So yeah, devastating losses for games 3 and game 4 for the Heat. They are a 10th seed after all, so we shouldn't be too surprised that they got swept. But yeah, it was ugly. It was definitely ugly. Just one more thing that I do want to mention. This is like not too basketball related, but I do want to send prayers to Kevin Love. I know before game 4, I believe the day before, his dad ended up passing away. So that was definitely, he was going through a lot in game 4. There was this touching moment where Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love were embracing, and Tristan was just trying to help him feel better before the game. Yeah, tragic loss for Kevin Love. So I'm just hoping for the best for him. And yeah, praise to him and his family.
Definitely prayers to Kevin Love and his family. Good man, to say the least.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, had a pretty good career, and now playing the mentor role. So definitely prayers to him. And it was a tough way for the Heat season to end, but nonetheless, unshocking.
yeah. Speaking of unshocking, we're gonna speed through this one probably as well. Celtics versus Magic, and as you expect, the Celtics ended up winning this series. I convinced myself that the Celtics were gonna sweep this one, but the Magic were able to win one of these games. Which game did they win? Game 3?
Game 3, yeah.
Yeah. So they won game 3, but unfortunately they did lose in game 4 and 5. In game 4, for the most part, it was competitive, but in the fourth quarter is where the Celtics were able to get a nice lead. And Jason Tatum looked amazing out there. 16 of his 37 points were in the fourth quarter, so that helped them get that lead in the fourth. And yeah, he had 37 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. And there was several other Celtics players that came through as well. And, Paulo and Franz did play very well. It's just the shooting splits weren't the best. Paulo had 31 points on 32 shots, so that's not very good. Franz had 24 points on 22 shots. But, they shot the ball a lot, but who else was going to shoot the ball? They that roster just was not constructed for offense. They were really relying on Paulo and Franz in Game 4 and basically this entire series. So yeah, the rest of the Magic team was very disappointing. No other Magic player were able to score more than 12 points. And that was the same case in Game 5. Like the exact same case, which was crazy. But yeah, going over Game 5, the game was competitive as well at first, but then it kind of became a blowout after the Cavs, or not the Cavs, the Celtics took a lead in the third. The Celtics were once again just a lot better offensively. Overall, the Celtics shot 56.6% from the field, 54.2% from three, while the Magic scored, or not scored, their field goal percentage was 37.5%, and from three, they shot 21.1%. Franz tried. Paulo was kind of disappointing, but it was the rest of the team that was pretty much just garbage. Offensively, they really struggled. I think they would have done a lot better if Suggs was not injured. If Jalen Suggs was there, he would have done a lot more ball handling, get other players going, score a little bit, defend as well. He's a pretty good defender. So they definitely missed him. And I think that's kind of the biggest reason why the Magic kind of derailed in the regular season. Weirdly enough, it wasn't because of Paul's injury at the beginning. It wasn't because of Franz. It was because of Suggs. After Suggs got injured, their season kind of got derailed. And I think because of Suggs getting injured, they kind of got destroyed by the Celtics. But yeah, any thoughts on this matchup? Were you shocked at all by this result?
Unfortunately, I wasn't shocked because we kind of figured that Celtics were gonna win probably without much of a sweat, and unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. Um, a lot of these games, I feel like Magic would have a decent run and take a bit of a lead early on, but then the Celtics would just cruise and regain the lead and eventually blow the game open. Aside from game 3, obviously. And it's really unexpected. I mean, it's really not a shock. All but the expected, really. And yeah, honestly, not too much to say aside from the fact that I expected the Celtics to win pretty easy, and that is what happened. So unfortunately, Celtics won without a sweat.
Yeah. So yeah, you're totally right. This was basically no competition for the Celtics. In the next matchup, Knicks versus Pistons, this was definitely very competitive. Kind of a controversial series. Whether you talk about Game 4, where who was it? Tim Hardaway Jr. got fouled while trying to attempt this, I believe, game-winning three. That was crazy, as we all saw. Josh Hart made contact with Tim Hardaway Jr., and basically everybody knows that should have been called a foul. The officials knew that. Josh Hart didn't deny it was a foul. So the Pistons did get very unlucky in that game, where they did come back. They unfortunately couldn't keep their lead, though, in the fourth. That's mostly because clutch play of the year, Jalen Brunson was cooking. 15 of his 32 points was in the fourth. Cat had some great buckets as well. I think this was the game where he hit this crazy, fadeaway, behind the basket shot that went in. That was really cool. But yeah, the Knicks stepped up, and honestly, who knows if that, foul wasn't called. If, I honestly don't really think Tim Hardaway Jr. would have made that shot anyways, to be honest, because he was 4 of 13 from 3 that game, and the whole team overall was shooting horribly from 3. 24.1% from three. So overall, it was an unfortunate loss for them, for the Pistons. A very unlucky no call, but I really doubt that he was gonna make that shot anyways. I don't know. Do you think the Pistons should have? You know, I'm sure you believe that they should have got the call, but did you think that Hardaway was gonna make that shot?
Um, Definitely should have been a foul call without a doubt. Would he have made that shot if he wasn't fouled? Probably not, honestly. I don't think I would have trusted a Tim Hardaway Jr. to take the shot for the win. So I would say if it was unaffected, he probably bricks it. If they call a foul, I'm sure he makes at least one or two out of three minimum to at least send the game into overtime or take the lead to win. So refs definitely did screw the Pistons this game. And Pistons are pissed, and for good reason. NBA 2-minute report even confirmed that it was a foul, but at that point it was obviously too late. Like, what are we even doing? So yeah, series potential 2-2 series ended up being a 3-1 Knicks lead. And so then came game 5. In a win or go home situation, Pistons lived up to the task. They had control for most of the game, leading us by as much as 10, and only trailed by 5 in the early second quarter. For Pistons, Cade put up 24, 8 and 2 steals and a block. Sar put up 22 points. Tobias 17, 8, 2 and 2, 4 blocks. 2 steals, 4 blocks. Dennis 14. Malik Beasley 10. And for the Knicks, OG put up 19. Cat put up 17. Bridges put up 17. Brunson put up 16. Hart 15. And Mitchell Robinson 13. So the Pistons were able to get a huge win to force a Game 6 in Detroit. And so in Game 6, Knicks started the game firing, led by as much as 15 early in the second. Then the Pistons went on a run to end the half, stormed back to take a 2-point lead at the half, and Knicks regained a double-digit lead in the fourth and looked like as if they were going to blow their way out to another win, to a series win, but it was not so fast. Pistons stopped back and took a 17-point lead. Took a 7-point lead with 2:35 left, 112 to 105. This is where the Pistons collapsed. Knicks went on a 11-1 run to end the game, and this is in large part due to Jalen Brunson's clutch play. The 3 at the very end obviously is what sealed it, as that was the game-winning shot. But very tough final play for Pistons when Malik Beasley lost the ball and it went out of bounds. Anyways, for the Knicks, what was the key contributor was Jalen Brunson putting up 40, Mikal Bridges put up 25, OG putting up 22, Hart 13, and Cat put up 10, which Cat did end up fouling out with 50 seconds left, but fortunately it didn't matter. For the Pistons, Cade put up 23, Jalen Duren put up 21, Beasley put up 20, Asar put up 17, and Tobias put up 14. So Knicks wins this series 4-2, and they set themselves up for second round matchup against the Celtics. So Memo, what were your thoughts on this series?
Overall, the series was great. It was a very physical one. There was a lot of skirmishes and stuff like that, and a lot happening, right? With the controversial no call, the controversial way that Jalen Brunson plays. A lot of people were calling him a flopper. He was foul baiting, stuff like that. But you can't deny how great he was in Game 6. Game 6 was incredible. Again, he had 40 points and hit that game-winning 3 on Asar Thompson. Not even on Asar Thompson, because the way that he slid, he basically slid out of the arena after that crossover by Jalen Brunson. But shout out to Asar, honestly. The only reason why the Pistons were in it was because of his great defense. Dennis Schroeder also killed it defensively for the Pistons. It was kind of weird that JB Bickerstaff benched him at one point in the fourth quarter. Um, uh, the commentators were saying that maybe it was because he needed more rest, but he's a young guy. This is only his second season. He should be in his early 20s. I highly doubt he needs that much rest. He was definitely needed while the Knicks were making those runs where Brunson was going off, being the clutch player of the year. Mikal Bridges as well hit some timely buckets. Um, Ultimately, though, when Asar got back, he wasn't able to stop Jalen Brunson from making that three. And then on the other side, as you already mentioned, Kate Cunningham passing the ball to Beasley, and Beasley having butterfingers was definitely very disappointing. Another situation where, like, if things panned out, I doubt that Beasley was gonna able to make that three, to, I believe, win the game. I forgot, win or tie. I forgot, but because he was having a poor shooting night that game, so. Yeah, this was fun. This was a fun way. I was happy to see this ending live. I was definitely very hyped seeing Brunson hit that three. Um, so yeah, shout out to him. He got a lot of hate from the way he played, but the, he could be fun to watch too, especially when he hits those clutch buckets. But yeah, any more thoughts on this, or should we talk about the last matchup in the East?
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job of summarizing this series. It was easily the best series in the Eastern Conference. It might have been like second or third behind the Nuggets and the Clippers. And so, yeah, shout out to the Knicks for moving on, and for the Pistons. It was a good run, but the team was too young. I'm sure they'll be back better after your experience.
Oh yeah, this
Anyways,
was. I guess I should say this before we move on, but yeah, this was definitely a great season for the Pistons. Nobody expected them to be in the playoffs. Nobody expected them to be a top 6 seed and avoid the play-in. And nobody expected them to win 2 games in Madison Square Garden. They surpassed all, like, so many expectations. So shout out to them. They're only gonna get better. They were able to win their first playoff game since 2008, which is crazy. So yeah, as you were saying, shout out to the Pistons. But yeah, let's talk about Bucks versus Pacers. Very very disappointing. Like, I'm sure a lot of Bucks fans are depressed. But I'll have you go first. What were your thoughts on the final 2 games of this series?
yeah, starting with game 4, embarrassing performance by the Bucks in a must-win situation. Pacers led the entire game, never trailed. At one point, they went up by 26, and there were an impressive 8 players were in double digits for the Pacers. Miles Turner put up 23, Andrew Nembhard put up 20, Tyrese put up 17, TJ McConnell put up 15, Aaron Nesmith put up 14, Obi Toppin put up 13, Siakam put up 12, Jirachi Walker put up 12 as well. For the Bucks, it was another one of those typical Giannis carry games. 28, 15, and 6. Shockingly, KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr., had a pretty good performance, 23, 5, and 6. And Bobby Portis put up 14. So, unfortunately, all that was for nothing. Pacers got an easy game 4 victory to take the 3-1 lead. And so now, elimination game. Bucks started off the game great and took complete control of the first half. And the Bucks went up by as much as 20 early in the second. However, the Pacers closed the second quarter strong, and the Bucks only led by 6 at the half. Second half was a pretty good back and forth game. Pacers and Bucks traded several leads, and the game went to overtime. To start overtime, Tyrese makes a 3 to give the Pacers the 3-point lead. Following the 3, the Bucks end up going on a 9-0 run thanks to 3 Gary Trent Jr. threes. And so the Bucks led by 6, 112 to 106 was 146 left. And at this point, it almost looked like the Bucks had this game in the bag, but it just simply wasn't the case. Coming out of timeout, Aaron Nesmith makes a three with 5 seconds taken off the clock only. And then Nesmith then makes a layup to make it a 1 point game. So what happens next? The Bucks actually end up going on a 6-0 run thanks to Gary Trent Jr. 3, Giannis Fingero, and AJ Green layup. I mean a free throw. So Bucks are up by 7 with 40 seconds left. At this point, it's like how are the Bucks going to not win this game? This is when we had to find out. Pacers end up going on a crazy sequence. Nembhard 3, Tyrese Halliburton layup and 1. So then the Bucks possession with 1 point lead left. Gary Trent Jr. turns the ball over. And the Pacers get the ball for a chance to win. And that they did. Tyrese Halliburton drives to the basket, gives the Pacers a 1 point lead. With 1 second left on the clock and no timeouts, Bucks have no choice but to put up a full court heave, and Gary Trent Jr.'s shot was not going to fall. So, unfortunately, this was a massive choke and a very tough way for the Bucks season to end. It was one hell of a crazy overtime finish. And so by winning this game and this series, Pacers set up their second round matchup with the Cavs in the 1 versus 4 matchup. So yeah, this is pretty much what happens this series. Memo, would you like to give your thoughts on this series as a whole?
Yeah, this was definitely a sad way to go out. Like, I'm sure Bucks fans are devastated right now, seeing that their second star is out due to a torn Achilles. He might not play the entirety of next season, basically, because of that injury. Giannis played amazing in this series. He, like, out of the 3 MVP finalists this year, Shea, Jokic, and Giannis has by far been the best player in the postseason. By far, better than Jokic, better than Shea, and unfortunately, there's only so much this man can do. He couldn't carry them to win because the Pacers were just built a lot better. They're just a more well-rounded team. Even when players like Gary Trent Jr. are draining buckets like crazy, playing so well, there would be times where bad luck comes through and Gary Trent Jr. ends up turning the ball over and costing a game. So yeah, that's definitely a very sad way to go. That was a very costly turnover, and the fact that Tyrese Halliburton was able to once again hit a clutch bucket on Giannis, that gotta hurt. So yeah, shout out to the Pacers. They were great, clearly the better team. Like, in the regular season, I said the Pacers would beat the Bucks if they met up in the playoffs. I don't know why I predicted the Bucks were gonna win. I just assumed that maybe Giannis would be able to carry them to the next round. And he tried. He really tried, but he needed more help. He didn't have help in this series. I want to ask you this: what were your thoughts on Tyrese Halliburton's dad's altercation with Giannis at the end of Game 5? And I guess someone else was involved later with Giannis. I was it Nembhard that had Giannis's hand behind his neck? I don't know. What were your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I thought it was really childish for sure and really stupid of um Halliburton Sr. to be doing such a thing. Because like quite honestly, I get that you're happy you won the series, but you do not need to be flexing like that. I get it. Pacers and Bucks have formed a heated rivalry, especially these last few years. But to be going in front of your opponent's face like that is just way too out of pocket and disrespectful. So I do not blame Giannis for being upset. And I'm glad that Tyrese mentioned it in his post game that he also believed that his dad was in the wrong, and that he mentioned that he's gonna have to have a talk with him. And I heard that I think the Pacers um technically in a way banned him from attending games, like, and he won't be allowed to attend indefinitely. And unfortunately for him, I think that's a good thing for player safety, honestly, because like, you can't be doing stuff like that to your opponents. Quite honestly, it's fortunate that he did it to like a more respectful player like Giannis. Because if it was like a dirty, more physical player, that player could have maybe dropped him like, to the ground or something. That would be stupid because the player would get in trouble, suspended, fined. But reality is Tyrese's dad got lucky; he didn't get hurt from doing such a dumb thing. So yeah, I would say it was a dumb move by Tyrese's dad, but it is good that he is getting a consequence for it.
Yeah, like you just saw your son hit a game-winning layup to move on to the next round, and the first thing you think about is another man. That's crazy. That's crazy. The first thing you think about is just flexing in front of Giannis. You should be celebrating with your son. So, yeah, I thought that was very pathetic. Just like the series by the Bucks. So, I guess we could end that there and do some quick predictions on the Eastern Conference matchups. We don't have the Western Conference matchups at this time during this recording, but the Eastern Conference is set. We'll I have it mixed up in the doc, but we're gonna start with Cavs versus Pacers actually, because Cavs are the first seed, and we just talked about the Pacers, so why not just talk about this series? And I think this will be a competitive one. A lot of buckets being scored. These two are definitely juggernauts. They offensively they will have a lot of high scoring games, I believe. And although I believe the Cavs is a much better defensive team, I am very curious on like who's gonna be guarding Tyrese Halliburton. Like the guards for the Cavs are on the smaller side. They aren't really the best defenders. When we talk about Garland and Donovan Mitchell, so that's going to be interesting. And that how are those guards going to handle being guarded by Nemhard or Matherin, who are pretty good defenders. So that part is making me very curious. Um, and the Pacers are gonna be shooting a lot more threes. I don't know how great they are going into the paint. But I don't think that's a big part of their game. So having Allen and Mobley out there in the paint might not be as big of a deal as it would be for other teams. But right now I'm speculating. This is all on the fly, to be honest with you all. Like I'm just trying to process this. I really am trying to figure out my predictions. I'm trying to talk through it, but I think I'm leaning towards the Cavs in 6. The Cavs are the better team, so it's definitely a safe pick to go with the Cavs, even though the Pacers have been on fire and have been led by a player that is honestly underrated. He's not the overrated. He's not the most overrated player in the league. I think Tyrese is underrated at this point, because he doesn't score 25 plus points a game. He might have some poor shooting nights, but he's a conductor. He is able to orchestrate an amazing offense with that team. Whether it's on the break, whether it's in the half court, he's able to get the best shot possible. And that's why the entire Pacers team are just so great. in general. But with that said, the Cavs are the best team in the East. I guess in the regular season for a reason. Donovan Mitchell will be the best player on the court, most likely. He has a lot of help um, with Garland, with Mobley. So it's tough to say. I don't really have a big reason why I'm saying Cavs in 6, but I think that's where I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with Cavs in 6. What about you?
Okay, so I do agree that the Cavs are for sure gonna win this series, but I think I'm gonna actually predict Cavs winning in 5. And this is not as much like disrespect to the Pacers as it is to, I think, how good the Cavs potentially are, because I know that like there are still a lot of doubts to people out there on like how legit this Cavs team is. And I do know that like round one they were just playing an ace seed Miami Heat team that lost Jimmy Butler. But they looked really good in round one, and I think they can more than continue that. And so for example, against the Pacers, I think the trend would very likely be Cavs wins game 1, 2 at home. Pacers win game 3 in Indiana. Cavs steal game 4 in Indiana, and then they finish game 5 at home. That's what I think the trend will be. Win all the home games. Indiana takes one home game, and then Cavs win. I think is what's gonna happen. That's why I predict Cavs winning in 5.
All right, bold pick, but I respect it. I will have a bold pick for the next matchup if you want to talk about that. Celtics versus Knicks. I'm saying Celtics in
Okay.
5. And that is because the Knicks suck when they have to face the top teams in the West and the East. They could have, I believe the stat is that they could have win against the Cavs, against the Celtics, and against the Thunder at all in this past regular season. Um, you know, how much stock do you put into those games is up to you. At the end of the day, it is a small sample size after all, 4 games against the Celtics. But the fact that they lost all those games against the top competition in the league um, makes me feel like this will be a surprisingly shorter series. So I don't think it'll be a sweep. The Knicks are talented. They have the clutch player of the year. But, like, the Celtics have Derek White. Hopefully for them, Drew Holiday will be back. If not, uh, Jaylen Brown is a great defender. So Brunson's going to be bombarded by great defenders. We're going to need Cat to come through in every game, which he doesn't do, but he will come through for a few games. I'm sure he'll do fine with those Celtics defenders, but we'll see. And then OG and Mikel as well. We'll see how they do from a night to night basis. And on the other hand, on the other side, Jason Tatum has been on fire as of late. I think he's gonna have a good series, even though it's either gonna be OG or Mikel guarding him, and they're both pretty good defenders. But if he's having a down night, they got Jaylen Brown. If he's having a down night, Derek White could go on fire from 3. Peyton Pritchard could go on fire from 3. So the Celtics have options basically, and the Knicks are led by a coach who loves their starters and will play them until they're all injured. So, with all that said, I'm going with Celtics in 5. That's my bold pick here. Are you going bold as well, or do you think, or what do you think? I'll have you speak.
I wouldn't call it bold, honestly, because I also have the Celtics winning. Um, and I'm a little bit back and forth on how many games. I guess I will be a little bit more lenient than you, and I'll say Celtics winning in six. I'm not necessarily confident in it because I wouldn't be shocked if they won in five. But I was just saying six, honestly. And simply put, I'm only saying this because I do think that the Knicks are a better team than the Magic, and the Magic won one. And now, granted, what you said was completely accurate. The fact that the Knicks just completely played trash against the top teams in the league, West and East, for whatever reason. Unfortunate stat, but very accurate. Um, yeah, I'ma just say Knicks win two games. I'm gonna say they win one game at home. I don't know how confident I am that they'll steal one on the road, but I mean, I could see it maybe happening. But ultimately, I do think the Celtics are gonna still win the series, no problem. Unfortunately.
All right, we'll see what happens. I don't want the Celtics to win either, but I do think they
Yeah.
will be moving on to the conference finals to face the Cavs. But those are our predictions. We'll see what happens. Now let's go over some news pretty quickly. We don't have a lot to go over, so we'll make this quick. And we'll start with Greg Popovich. Now, this was definitely uh, something that, like, I had to, like, I don't know what's the word, but it shocked me in a way. But yeah, Greg Popovich will be stepping down from his head coach role to transition full time to team president, and this will be the end of an era for Greg Popovich, who is 76 years old. He has um, served as the Spurs head coach since 1996. That was before I was born. Like, he's been coaching longer than I've been alive. And I was definitely sad about this news because, like, Greg Popovich is probably my favorite coach of all time. Like, I know as a Lakers fan, I probably should say that Phil Jackson is like the goat coach, but to me, it's Greg Popovich. The way that uh, he was able to lead the Spurs to I believe the stat was like 22 out of the 25 years he was in the postseason. He was in the postseason, something like that. Um, I forgot the exact stat, so don't quote me on that. But he was in the postseason for most of his coaching career, uh, and was able to develop some talented players. Not only are we talking about like some legends like Tim Duncan and David Robinson, but also like players you didn't expect to be such impactful players and Hall of Famers, like uh, or future Hall of Famers for some of these players like Kawhi Leonard, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. The way that he was able to find so much success for so long is very impressive to me. Um, Even though like it sucked in some years where the Lakers had to face the Spurs and stuff like that. You know, he always made it hard on us, but yeah, Greg Popovich to me is such a legend. Honestly, the way that he could care less for an in-game interview is very funny, or his political savviness as well. He could be very blunt about his takes politically, and I appreciate him a lot for that as well. He always denounced the things that like Trump is saying and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, it sucks that it has to come to an end. I believe this is because of what's been going on health wise for him. So I do hope that he recovers well and that um, he enjoys. I hope he gets more, or I hope he has a lot less stress now that he's no longer the head coach. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this news?
Yeah, I will say a little bit shocking. I would say not as much shocking the fact that he stepped down from head coach, but more shocking that he's still staying within the organization. Because I would have thought that like him aging and having some health problems, maybe he'll just retire for good. and take it easy. The fact that he still wants to be involved with the Spurs is honestly cool. He's loyal to the soil, um, and knowing that obviously he's dealt with quite a bit this last year, the health issues. Would totally understand if he just retired entirely. Nonetheless, respect to Pop for his one hell of a coaching career and as an executive. And I've also always been a fan of his. Like obviously, always makes it hard on the Lakers, and he even yeah, obviously really funny guy. The fact that he literally tried to prevent Kawhi from getting traded to the Lakers at any cost back when Kawhi was still on the Spurs was both funny and kind of sad at the same time because obviously we wanted Kawhi, but at the same time, like we understood Pop and his hatred for us as rivals. Nonetheless, wish Pop the best to get well soon for his health and also continue to do great things and as an executive.
Yeah, shout out to Greg Popovich. Last thing we'll cover is some NBA awards that I luckily have been able to predict these two as well correctly, with Stefan Castle winning Rookie of the Year. I believe he averaged like 14.7 points, 3.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists. So pretty decent stats there. And then I also was able to predict this as well. Dyson Daniels winning Most Improved Player. He had a huge jump from points per game from the previous year to this year, with 5.8 points per game last year to now 14.1 points per game. And then defensively is where he truly ended up shining, ended up being the season leader of total steals, probably steals per game as well, with 3 per game. So, any shockers here? Were you surprised? Did you expect anybody else to win these awards, or do you think this was a fair outcome?
I think it was a fair outcome because obviously both of us we predicted Stephon Castle obviously after Jared McCain went down. Zach Edey also had injuries, didn't necessarily perform to the levels we expected. Um, Alex Sarr and Zach Risache had good seasons, but were a little bit inconsistent here and there. Versus Stefan Castle was pretty consistent throughout the way. So honestly, I think this was a fair and the right pick. As far as Dyson Daniels goes, obviously, you originally picked him, and I originally picked Cade Cunningham. And a lot of the past narratives probably would have hinted towards Cade winning it for like bigger name and whatnot. At the end of the day, if we're talking about most improved, I think that clearly Dyson Daniels has made the biggest jump from last season to this season. So I would say this was the right pick as well. So honestly, I think both of these picks were logical and the right pick. So not bad at what happened, honestly.
Yeah, not bad at all. Hopefully, my prediction streaks continue. I'm sure there's gonna be more awards announced soon. But yeah, that's it. That's all we had to talk about. We talked a lot. So I hope you all enjoyed that. If you did, please like the video. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe even if you enjoyed. If you're on an audio platform, make sure you leave a 5-star rating and review. Check out our socials. I've been pumping out the TikToks like crazy. They've been doing pretty well. A lot of people have been enjoying it. A lot of people started following, and not a lot, I guess, but there's been several people following and subscribing as of late. So shout out to you all. Hoops, do you have anything you want to say before we head out?
Just want to say, per usual, thanks to all you guys for the constant support to our channel. We greatly appreciate it. Would not be where we are today without you guys. If you guys like our content, please make sure to continue to like, subscribe, share, and follow us on all platforms. Obviously, now we're at the peak of the playoffs, entering round 2, and things are going to be very exciting. So before you know it, we will be at the final stages of the season. So make sure you guys stay tuned. You do not want to miss our content. and look forward to what's to come.
Yeah, we got a lot of good content coming up, so make sure you stay subscribed, tune in, and yeah, we'll see you all next week. Good. Bye.